What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, family? Come on in the room. Come on in the room.
Mic check, mic check. If y'all can hear us good. Wait, what?
Close that for me.
Why?
It's
Why?
interfering with me. What's up, you guys? Come on in the room. I am super excited. Today we're doing something that we normally don't do. Normally we go live and we do our trainings usually around 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, but today we had a special event today with our second oldest daughter, and we were out of pocket. We were, what's up? What's up? What's
What's
up,
up?
Jeanette? We were completely out of pocket. So, since we were out of pocket,
Give me a thumbs up if I sound good, y'all. Make sure I sound good.
since we were out of pocket, we wanted to make sure that we still did the training. We still had a chance to teach you guys. I'm really excited about today's
Appreciate it, Jeanette.
I am really excited about today and what you guys are gonna learn. You ready, Tonio?
Yeah. So while people getting on in here, she won the creative writing category today.
Yes.
So that was really nice to see her win and see her excel. It was really nice to also, as a parent, beat it. It was in the middle of the day, 1 o'clock.
No, it wasn't 1 o'clock.
Well, it started at 8 o'clock.
It started at 9 o'clock, and she did a quiz bowl first. And that quiz bowl was her and a group of her friends, and they were just answering random facts, like random facts questions, and just saying like who real random questions, y'all. I can't even repeat them. They were so random.
That's not even important.
But they did really good. Now they didn't win the quiz bowl, but they found out in their individual competition that all of them, except for I think one, you could have let that go. That was not important. All of them except for one actually placed. So it was really good. We knew she had placed because her teacher had told us right before lunch, but she didn't. None of the kids knew that they had placed. So when she went on stage and they told her she was first place, she was like, "Who, me?" Like, she pretty much lost her mind, and we did too.
Yes. I mean, it was probably 10,000 kids in that room today. So
yes,
it was exciting. So that's why we
exciting.
are here at 7 o'clock.
Yes,
Central Time and not 1 o'clock Central like we normally are. What I do want to say is my name is Antonio Denmark.
I am Ashley Denmark. We are your creative expert funders. I said that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. We run the REI Decoded group.
Yes, we're your trainers.
Where we want to help people come together, learn together, and start uncovering those myths about real estate. Get off the sideline, get into the game.
Absolutely.
We have been investing in real estate since April of 2009. We've done flips. We've done
owner finance, lease options, lease purchase.
Got a lot of experience.
Yes.
But this is one of our babies. And this is what we believe in. We believe in long-term wealth. We believe in creating something to leave to your kids. And this is one of the cheat codes that we feel like is the easiest cheat code to create that wealth and be able to pass down to your kids. So if you have questions at any time, drop them in there. If any time you're kind of looking at this training, you're like, hey, I think I need some help executing these strategies, just drop the word call in the group, and we can hop on the call. We're not selling you anything, just to talk about how we can help you, how we can potentially get you off the sideline and into the game. Yeah,
help you accomplish your goals first and foremost. It is February 2024, so let's make sure we are taking every necessary step to accomplishing those goals before the year is out. Today's training is really simple, but it's really going to help you build that portfolio if you follow these steps. If you make sure you ask questions if you don't understand, but make sure you dive in so that you are able to really excel. You are able to build that portfolio and take it from 0 to 4 if you don't have any. And if you do have some, let's expand on it so that you can have more because cash flow is so important right now.
If you're looking to get your first investment property, if you're looking to get off the sideline and into the game, drop me a 1 in the chat.
Yeah.
Just to let me know, hey, I'm looking to get going. This is really for me. Make sure if you have any questions, you ask them.
Yes.
That's the easiest way to get understanding by asking your questions. All right. So if you don't have any properties, drop a 1 in the chat. And let's go. Let's get a pulse of the room. Let me know what we're dealing with. Okay,
Okay,
I see your
some
ones.
ones.
I see your
Okay,
ones coming
okay.
in.
I see some ones.
I guess I can't see no names if it's like this.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Okay, I see some more ones coming through. Okay, okay.
All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get started.
All right. So we're going to talk about how to build your real estate portfolio from 0 to 4 cash flowing properties in just 1 year. All right. So if you follow these steps, you should be able to build your portfolio. If you're trying to leave your 9 to 5, this is going to help you leave that 9 to 5. If you are trying to live a life of freedom, this is going to help you live that life of freedom. If you are trying to leave a legacy behind, this is going to help you leave that legacy behind following these steps. Flipping is great, flipping is good, but there are some downfalls when it comes to flipping. One is you can't pass it down. Two is you're not gonna make residual income from it. So we're gonna show you how to really make long-term money when it comes to investing in real estate. All right, you ready?
Let's go. You just repeated everything I said.
What is BRRRR? All right, let's talk about what is BRRRR. BRRRR is an acronym, so I want you guys to know as we're starting it, and we're gonna break it down. But what does BRRRR stand for? It stands for buying it, rehabbing a property, renting it, refinancing, and then repeating that process. All right.
And understand that the BRRRR method is not just one singular thing. It's a concept. And with the concept, you can execute it many different ways. All right. So I can tell you, and we'll get into it. When you see a hedge fund, a lot of times when they're buying properties in bulk, they are actually using the BRRRR strategy. Yes. They're just doing it in bulk. They're buying 10, 15, 20 properties at a time. They are
renovating it. They may do a light renovation, but they're definitely doing some type of renovation. Then they're putting renters in it, and then they're refinancing it in portfolios. They're refinancing it and they're repeating that process over and over and over again.
Yeah. So at the end, make sure you stay to the end because we're going to kind of give you the 2 ways to implement this for a regular person, not a person that has a hedge fund that got millions of dollars at their disposal, but a regular person who got $15,000 to $20,000 either on a credit card or in a line of credit in your 401k. We're going to show you how to execute this method on your scale so you can build up.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's talk about what we're buying. We're buying houses that are between 65 to 75% of the after repair value. So when you hear us say ARV, ARV stands for the after repair value. Ashley, what is the after repair value? That's what the house is going to be worth after it's fixed up. So what are houses selling for in the area at like tip top shape? Like after renovation has been done, what are people paying for houses in that area?
One thing you want to consider is when you're doing that 65 to 75%, that's your all-in amount. So an example of what I mean by all in, let's use some easy numbers. Let's say that a property's ARV, which Ashley just told you what that is. Let's say the ARV is $100,000. Your all-in number is between $65,000 and $75,000. That's 65% to 75%. Now understand that all-in number, it doesn't necessarily have to be all purchase or all rehab. It's usually a combination of purchase and rehab. So an example, let's say that we're buying one at 65% of ARV. ARV is $100,000. If you don't have pen and paper, y'all write this down. Like these are critical notes that helps you analyze deals. All right. If the ARV is $100,000 and we're buying it at 65% of ARV, that means our purchase in our rehab can't be more than $65,000.
So listen, not $70,000 because you like the way it looks, it makes you feel good. It can't be more than $65,000.
That's what we're using in this strategy. All right.
Yes.
Now there's some other strategies where you can go a little higher, but for right now, we're in this example, we're using 65%. So whether your purchase is 35,000 and your rehab is what's that?
Really?
30,000?
Mm-hmm.
$30,000. It doesn't matter. You can flip it. All right. So understand, as long as it equals to $65,000, that's your all-in number.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Now, if you are doing it where you're getting up there to 65% of the ARV, then 75% of the ARV, then again, it's just going to be 75,000 is the most you can pay for purchasing rehab. But these two differences between the 65 and the 75% really depends on your exit strategy and the type of properties that you're buying. But we're going to get into that. But just know that that's what it really involves. All right. So let's jump into rehab. You want to make sure that you stay within your scope of work. What is my scope of work? It is your budget on how much these renovations are going to cost. You want to make sure you stick to your budget. Don't go over because you like the way a certain brand of carpet feels on your feet. Like, no, stick to your budget. If that carpet is in your budget, then okay. But if it's not, don't buy it. Stick to your budget because it is important when you are burning to stick to any project, honestly, to stick to your budget as much as possible so that you can reap the results in the end.
Yes.
Right.
And this is not a retail type rehab. This is not a rehab to where you're going to go in and put a new roof on it, put new windows in it, replace the AC, give it new cabinets, and just totally gut the property, new electrical, new plumbing. That's not the type of rehab this is. All right. This is a nice rehab. This is a livable rehab. This is not a retail rehab.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
We like for our rehabs to be in the middle. They're not retail, but they're not actually rental grade rehabs either.
Right. So for example, some things that we may not do in a BRRRR type of deal. We may not buy new cabinets if the cabinets are good. We may paint them, put new knobs, put new hinges on it, and give it a fresh look, but keep the existing wood cabinets. We may not go, we're definitely not going hardwood throughout the house. We're going to do either laminate or we're going to do luxury plank vinyl and carpeted luxury vinyl plank, and then put carpet in the bedrooms. All right. So there are some ways that we're going to save when we are doing the BRRRR rehab.
And that's important because remember, you got to stick to your numbers. You can't get emotional and go over the numbers. Most people that start executing the BRRRR strategy, they are not struggling. They are living in a nicer area. And understand that some of the properties that we buy are not going to be in those nicer areas. No. And you can't over improve the property to where you want to stay in it. It's good to have a nice product, but you don't have to make it to what your house is. It don't have to have 8-foot doors and hardwood out and absolutely crown molding all over the place and molding in the bedrooms. Like it doesn't have to have all those things that your house has. All right.
Absolutely. And because remember, this is at the end of the day, it is a rental and it's not a retail flip. So you want to make sure you always keep that in mind when you're doing it.
And this is an investment, y'all. So it's a little different when it's an investment. You gonna hit the thing in the comments? I don't see
it's not. Yeah. All right. So let's jump into rent. So first we're buying, then we're rehabbing it. Now it's time to rent. It is important that your debt service coverage ratio, that is known as your DSCR. The reason why we're teaching you these terms is so when you're in rooms and they're saying ARV, DSCR, you know exactly how to talk that talk with other investors and know exactly what they're saying. But
Also, when you're talking to lenders, you understand what you're talking about.
Yes, you understand what they're really quoting you because you understand their lingo. So it's important to make sure that that DSCR is where it needs to be when you buy it. You want to always reverse engineer before you buy it. What can I get from a rental standpoint before I even rent it out, before I
That
even
was such
rehab
a
it?
big word, actually. Reverse engineer.
Okay, so reverse engineer means let's start with the exit in mind. Let's start with the end in mind before we start the beginning. If we don't know where we're trying to finish up, then we can't create a for sure plan on where we need to go.
So, example, if you're buying in a certain neighborhood, you need to know how much the houses are renting for in that area. You need to see, I would check sources like Zillow, I would check apartments.com. What's another
Rental meter,
rental meter? So I can see what houses are renting for in that area.
rentometer, whichever one you want to pronounce it as.
If your numbers tell you this is a $1,500 area, then you have to make sure that you redo these DSCR numbers to make sure that you can fit what you're trying to do. You also got to reverse engineer what's that estimated mortgage payment on that property.
Once you refinance it.
Once you refinance, so you got to do that. You got to do some work on the front end to make sure everything flows on the back end. And what I really want you to kind of calculate is DSCR. If you got some pen and paper, let's calculate it so you understand how to calculate it and you know what it is. So if your
let's kind of break it down first. So your DSCR is your income divided by your expenses. All right, income divided by expenses. Go ahead. So if your
rent is what's considered your income, that's $1,200 a month. So if $1,200 divided by $1,000, that's your mortgage more than likely. That's going to give you a 1.20 DSCR. That's how lenders compare cash flowing properties. When you go up in ARV or if you go down, they're looking at that number to rate and judge how good of a cash flowing property you have.
So in this example, the cash flow is $200 a month. But there are some areas where you go up and your mortgage is $2,000 a month and say and do the numbers and see
what am I doing?
What's 3,000?
But let's give an example. So if let's say that the income is $3,000 a month and the rent is $2,200 a month, what's your DSCR on that?
Type it in the chat. Tell me what your DSCR is on that.
$3,000 in rent and your mortgage payment is $2,200. What would be your DSCR on that type of loan?
So remember, you are dividing the income divided by the expenses.
And what used to get me a lot was I used to always do the expenses then the income. But that's wrong. You're not getting the right number, all right? And that's why it's good to do these things while you have us live to say, okay, let me make sure I'm doing it right. All right. So remember, it'll be $3,000
divided by, what's that, 2,200 you said?
Divided by 2,200. There you go.
It's 1.36. Great job.
1.36.
That's your DSCR.
The best DSCRs are about 1.4, 1.5. If you hit a 1.4, 1.5 DSCR, you have a great property. Okay, you have a great cash flowing property. At a 1.2, a 1.1, that's low. That's standard, but that ain't great for real.
Right.
That's what the lenders will like, but that ain't great. So understand that that's how you compare properties. Whether you're buying a $50,000 property that has a $1,000 rent, or you're buying a $300,000 property that has a $2,500 rent, that DSCR does not change.
So income equals rental rate and expenses equal mortgage payment.
Yes.
Absolutely. Bam. Simple.
A couple things to keep in mind is if you have an HOA, don't forget they might pull that in there. All
If
right.
you're paying for garbage or fire dues, that needs to be added in there as far as your expenses.
That might get pulled in there. But at the same token, if you're getting a pet fee, that's also included in
That
your
includes
income.
income.
If you are getting money for renting them appliances,
That's
that's
included
getting
in your
income.
income.
So understand when you're living in a house or you're living in an apartment and they're always going up $25, $50, it's because they're trying to get to metrics.
They're trying to get to a point where their refinance makes sense and that they can sell their packages at the same time.
Yeah, so understand every dollar counts when you are renting a property because of these type of numbers and these type of metrics.
Yes, they're called value adds. Those are value adds when you're adding the not the electronics, the garbage, when you're adding the appliances. Those are value adds to increase your income.
Any questions before we go to the next slide? Ask your questions now because we understand this sound like Chinese to some people. We're trying to break it down, but we got to go a little deeper. Y'all drop it to me, say it, and we can go from there.
All right, let's do it. All right, so we have purchased the property. We have renovated the property. We found some good tenants to be in the property. So now we're going to refinance. And there are two typical ways that you refinance. One is a cash out refinance. That's when the new lender pays off the existing mortgages, but also gives you cash when it comes to it, so you can get that down payment back, rinse and recycle the whole process. But there's another type of refinance that's called rate and term refinance, where there's no cash given out, but the lender will take care of any of the mortgages as long as it fits in that ARV ratio of 75% for cash out and 80% for rate and term is typical.
Yeah, so and the reason that's important is because when you start dealing with lenders, you need to be able to ask them, hey, what's your rate and term refinance looking like? What is your cash out? Either your leverage or your rates, because they're not the same. A lot of times lenders will say, hey, we're doing 80 up to 80% of ARV from a cash out standpoint. But they're not talking about a refinance. They're talking about a rate and term refinance, not a cash out refinance. But I'm gonna say it again because I misspoke a little bit.
You make that. Yeah.
So lenders will say we're doing up to 80% refinance. But that doesn't mean that's a cash out refinance. Some lenders only do 50% cash out refinance. So understand you got to ask the right questions and talk the right lingo so that you understand what they're saying. Because they can easily say, yeah, we do 80% refinancing, but that's only on rate and term. That means you're going to have to leave your money in the deal, and they're only going to pay off your lender. And let's say you bought the property with just cash or a 401k or a HELOC, that's not ever going to be under a rate and term refinance. That's always going to be cash out. And even if you have that money somewhere else, if it's not a noted mortgage on the property, that's considered a cash out refinance.
All right. Drop your questions in the chat. Make sure you get it. All right. So after you refinance, whether you're getting that cash out, preferably get the cash out refinance if you have money invested in the deal. So if you put your own personal funds, if you use your credit cards, whatever, your HELOC, you want to make sure you get your money back out of the deal. So you want to do a cash out refinance versus a rate and term. But if you use something like a gap funder and you didn't use your money, then a rate and term still gets you to the same place where it pays off all the lenders.
You can't be throwing in the words like they don't know the gap lender.
I know you're gonna tell them, so go ahead.
All right. So, side note: when she says gap lender, she's saying somebody that can fill in the gap for your down payment.
I just realized that. Okay, you're right.
Somebody that can either your money or you're more likely you're borrowing these funds where they're going to help you with the down payment. They're going to help you to start your rehab. They're going to help you make those interest payments. Like that's a gap lender, somebody that you're a private investor
Yeah.
that's helping you with this process.
All right. So someone said, please repeat the difference between cash out refinance and term refinance.
All right. A cash out refinance means that you're getting money back at closing. A rate and term refinance means that you're not getting any money back. They're only paying off your current lenders. So they're going to replace your current lenders that you have on the property. If hypothetically speaking, ARV is 100,000 and your first lender has a mortgage of $80,000 on the property, when you go to refinance that property, they're not giving you any cash back. They're just going to put a new loan of 80,000 on the property and pay off the first lender. If you are going for a cash out, let's say that you only have 50,000 into the property and the ARV is $100,000. When you go to cash out at 75%, you can potentially get 25,000 minus repair, minus closing costs back. So you're going to be getting money back at closing to go and do your next deal.
All right. Was that good?
And I'll say this, let's say that you bought a property all cash and you go to do a cash out refinance. If your new loan is 75,000, ARV is 100,000, your new loan is $75,000, you're going to get $75,000 minus closing costs in your pocket.
All right. Someone said, what's a good percent for a rate and term refinance?
When you say percent, are you saying interest rate or are you saying leverage as far as 70, 80, 90%?
I feel like they're talking about, I feel like they're talking about leverage.
So leverage, me personally, and I think a little different. I'm always going to try to get my money back. I don't care the leverage. It's me personally. Because and this is why I say that. This is how we look at real estate. This is how we look at properties. If I can refinance on the property and get all of my money back, and that property is cash flowing, that property become an asset. Mm-hmm. And this is from Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, Robert Kiyosaki type of thinking. If I have a cash flowing asset, even if that cash flow is $200 a month, understand the power of what I'm saying. If I don't have any money into the deal and I'm getting $200 a month, that ROI is infinite. There is no ROI because I have no money into the deal. But at the same time, if I have a tenant in that property, that tenant is paying down my principal balance. Mm-hmm. So I am getting equity through principal pay down. I'm also getting equity through appreciation over time. So if I can refinance, I don't care if it's 80%, 85%, I don't care. As long as I can cash flow, as long as my tenant is paying their rent, as long as we have time on our side, we're going to create equity in that property. And every year we're going to go up on that rent and create more cash flow.
All right. So I feel like you answered this, but let's just make sure. What's the preferred refinance when using a hard money loan? Preferred is cash out.
Cash out always. Unless you have a gap lender, like my wife implied,
a private money
lender that's on it. That's where a rate and term refinance will come into play.
Because none of your money was in the deal to begin with. So now you're just making sure you pay off all your lenders.
All right. So I'm going to give you an example on that. So with a gap lender, a private lender in place. So let's hypothetically say my loan one, my
purchase and rehab loan.
My purchase and rehab loan is $60,000. But I also have a private lender for $80,000. Remember, this ARV is still $100,000 property. All right. If I go and do a rate and term refinance, that $80,000 will wipe out my first lender and my second lender. Now I have a long-term loan with none of my money into the deal. So that's when a rate and term refinance is best. You're probably not going to get any cash out because you have a private lender. And when you get that refinance, potentially you can pay that private lender his profit and his principal balance so that you can use that money again to do another deal.
Yes. All right. Someone put, what's the best credit score to have to refinance And is your DTI a factor?
So we like to use hard money. You can always use credit
Traditional,
unions,
conventional loans.
especially for a refinance.
Yes.
Now there's negatives to it, but to answer the question directly, most hard money lenders or traditional lenders want you to have a 660 credit score. That's kind of the barrel of when that 660 come into play. Now, can you do it with lower? Yes. Is there different factors? Yes. But about a 660 is where you're going to start getting the best rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to start getting the best terms. Now, if your credit score is 700, it's even better rate, even better terms, even better leverage. So understand that with that leverage, when I say 65%, 75, when I say 75% or 80%, that's going to be dictated also by your credit score. So you have to have all your metrics in line to get that max leverage.
Mm-hmm.
DTI is not a factor.
When you're doing hard money,
yeah,
when you're doing hard money, they're not looking at your DTI. They're not looking to see if you can afford it, because they understand that you're going to have tenants in place and the tenants are paying it. Now, if you're going conventional, DTI is a factor because they're looking at all of that. And that's why most investors, as they're building their portfolio, a lot of them don't use conventional products because they don't want it to hit their credit, and they don't want it to stop them from having to buy a purchase that they need because of their DTI.
Yes.
So with hard money, it's not a factor at all.
Now I'm gonna tell you the biggest challenge. Conventional or local credit unions are always going to give you the better leverage a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
They're also going to give you the better interest rates. Their fees are not going to be as high, but most of them have what we call a year seasoning period. All right.
Yes.
And that's a big factor when you're doing this strategy, because, and what we mean by a year seasoning is they will not refinance on the property or give you full value for the property until after you've had the property for a year of ownership.
I think the lowest that I've seen recently is 6 months.
And that's rare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's got to be a really nice credit union that want to do business with investors.
Yes.
With hard money, you only have to have it for 3 months with a lot of lenders.
Yeah, it's like 90 days, and then you can get a refi.
Then you can get a refinance at full value. So what some lenders will do is they will do a refinance before the 90 days, but it's only based off what you put into it.
Yes.
So this is how they'll trick you, all right? They'll say, we will do a no seasoning 80% refinance, all right? But it's going to be based on your LTC.
And that's your loan to cost.
Your loan to cost. So if your loan is $80,000 on the property, they're just going to refinance at 80% of $80,000, which means you're going to have to bring money to the closing table. Yes. If you refinance it before your seasoning period is up. That's why it's super important. It's extremely important to ask, is there any seasoning required to get full ARV on my refinance?
And to understand the lingo, LTC is not the same as LTV.
Yes.
Cost and value are not the same. LTV is your loan to value. LTC is your loan to cost. Your loan to value is the ARV. It is what the house will be worth when you fix it up, but not loan to cost.
Those are some great questions, y'all. I promise you, those are great questions. I like how y'all mind thinking. I like how y'all are processing information. Great questions. If you have some more questions, drop them in there.
Drop it in the chat. All right, so we're repeating the process. We refinanced it. We got our cash out, and we're ready to do it again. Or our private lender has gotten their cash, and they're ready to reinvest it again. All right. So let's talk about the Lee method.
So let me say this. When we break these down, because we got the Lee method and the BRRRR method, all right? Understand that both of them, the foundation is the BRRRR method, all right? But it's just a matter of how you want to go about doing it and how your finances are set up to get to this point.
Right.
All right.
So let's talk about Lee first. Lee is our first mentee, and he basically developed a strategy from our strategy and built it to be something that he could rinse, recycle, and use without having to go and get hard money financing for each loan.
All right, and I'm gonna kind of give you a little more background on why Lee developed his method. Lee was young when he started working for us, and Lee was wholesaling properties where he was looking for properties and selling them at a higher rate. So what he was doing, he was coming across a lot of portfolio properties, and he would just keep one property out of the portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of how he developed that method. Lee didn't have necessarily the best of he had pretty good credit.
He had decent credit.
He had good credit.
Yeah, he didn't have cash.
He didn't have cash, but he did have some good credit and he did have some assets.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the method that he developed. So I can't sit here and tell you that we developed like it's out. We taught him BRRRR, we taught him the concepts, but he took this method and made it his own.
If you don't know Lee, Lee is one of our ex-flipper icons. And what an ex-flipper icon is, someone under our mentorship that has built a 7-figure portfolio. And he was one of the first to build his 7-figure portfolio.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Lee method. Let's talk about it in greater detail. So in this method, if you have a HELOC, if you have any type of line of credit or 401k, or a private money lender, a private money investor, then this method is for you.
And you need to have chunks of money. It needs to be probably $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 that you have access to. If you got cash, great. But at the same time, I know it's a lot easier to get a home equity line of credit or a 401k to where, hey, this person has $150,000 of access to cash.
Mm-hmm.
And whichever way they have access to it, this is not a loan.
It can be credit card. It can be business credit cards. Whatever that access is to 100, 150, 200 to a large lump sum, then this strategy
this is
right
the
here.
Strategy that works best for you. This is a quick method to help build your portfolio.
Yes. So in this method, you're going to buy properties at 75% of the after repair value, meaning if the after repair value is $100,000 once this fixed up, you can buy it for up to 75% of that. So 75,000.
So let's hypothetically say that this property doesn't need a lot of work. Let's say it's $100,000 property and it needs $10,000 in work. We can spend a little bit more on this property because the rehab is going to be super quick on it, and we're going to be in and out of it. So that plays a huge factor. So I don't mind paying $65,000 for this property and then putting $10,000 into it. Now I'm at 75% of ARV. I don't mind because remember, we're not getting loans from the bank on this front part.
Yeah.
We are using our cash. All right. Now, if this property don't need no work,
even better.
Even better. I'll give them $75,000. I'll give them 75% of ARV. If it's tenant occupied, I'll give them 75% of ARV all day.
Absolutely. All right. So the types of properties that we're looking for in this method is properties with little to no rehabs, properties that may be tenant occupied, properties that are either vacant. You can go with vacant ones, and properties that have a high debt service coverage ratio, a DSCR. Those are really, really the properties that you're looking for in this method.
Yes.
All right.
Somebody asked a question. Is DTI is a factor in refinancing, not your personal DTI if you're using hard money. Now, if you're going traditional, if you're going credit union, local credit unions, then yes, your DTI will be a factor. But if you're going hard money, your DTI is not a factor at all. They are basing it off of the DSCR and they're basing it off of your credit. All right.
All right. So in this method, you want to buy those type of properties. You want to buy either it's vacant, either it doesn't have much rehab, tenant occupied. Those are the properties you want to focus on. And then once you buy it, you want to refinance it in as little as 3 months so that you can repeat the process. So you're going to get a group of houses typically at one time. Typically, you're going to buy 2 to 3, especially if they are under the $100,000 ARV. If they're under 100,000 when it comes to ARV, you want to buy 2 to 3 at a time so that you can refinance them as a package. You want to refinance them together in 3 months.
And I'm gonna tell you why that's so important. Because for hard money lenders, 90% of hard money lenders, their minimum loan amount is $75,000. If you're buying lower end properties, you're buying them for $50,000. When you go to refinance, you're not going to meet that minimum loan amount. So how you get around that is, let's buy 3 properties for $100. Let's buy 3 properties for $50,000 all in. Now we're gonna turn around and refinance all 3 properties and get our money back. All right. So this is for, remember, that person who has access to a home equity line of credit, who got 401k money, who has business credit, business lines of credit, who got business credit cards. That's what we're going to use that money for. And once we refinance, we can just keep rinsing and repeating that same process. Make sure your DSCR is high, because if I'm buying cash, I want a higher cash flow. All right. Because when I refinance, that DSCR gonna go down some because now I have a mortgage. All right.
And so let's just talk about this real quick, this perspective. If you're buying 2 of these and you're refinancing in 3 months, and let's say we started in January and we bought 2 properties that were pretty much ready to go, and then we're refinancing in April. Let's say we're refinancing in April. Okay, not in April, we're also buying 2 more. So now we're at 4 properties and it's just April. And then guess what? April, May, June, July, let's say August. August, we're going to refinance again. And in August, we're going to get 2 more. In this strategy, you can get 6 or up properties in just 1 year. Get cash flow and rinsing and repeating that process over and over and over again. What can 6 properties do for you? Cash flowing $300-$400 each in a year.
Let's do the math. So let's say we get 6 properties, and let's say we cash flowing $300 a property. All right. And we ain't gonna get too deep into property management fees and repairs and all that.
We're just saying a growth number. Yeah.
If I have 6 properties and I'm getting $300 a month, that's $1,800 a month in a year. That's $21,600 in a year. And you've used the same money to build.
The same money.
That's cash flow.
How many houses do you need to get to be able to retire your job, to be able to create financial freedom, to be able to leave a legacy behind? What does that number look like for you?
And this is how we really got to this point. How we looked at it is, and I'll say definitely me, actually not so much.
Over time.
Over time. If I could buy 5 to 6 properties a year, all right, even if I'm not making a killing on the cash flow, if I got 4 kids, if I'm doing that year over year over year, now I could build a portfolio of 20, 30 properties to one day pass down to my kids. That's how I look at it.
And guess what? As the tenants are paying it off, like as the tenants are paying that mortgage down, you're not just getting cash flow, you're creating equity at the same time. Like, imagine what that looks like. Okay, you're making 22,000 a year, but imagine you sell one of those, so you lose 300 in cash flow, and you sell one of those and then you sell it for 20,000-30,000. You make 20,000-30,000. Now in the year you just made 50,000 versus 21 versus nothing because you're afraid to get off the sideline.
All right. So
quick.
And this is easy, y'all. Like, there are plenty of properties out there to where they are discounted because they need some paint and flooring. They're discounted because the seller's in a certain situation. Like, you don't, and also they're discounted just because of the area they're in. And you have cash. So when you have cash, even though if it's a line of credit or a credit card or a HELOC, to them it's cash. You can close in 2-3 days.
You can close as soon as title is clear. And that's a whole different game where you're going to get deals before others are going to get deals because you have that exposable, you have that cash available.
All right.
All right. Y'all understand the lead method, right?
Give me a thumbs up. I want to leave.
We can't go to the next one if you don't understand
At
it.
least give me a thumbs up if you understand it. You got the basis of it, or give me a question if you got a if then scenario type situation. But while we're waiting, what he did was he got to like 3 properties from those portfolios. Now he went traditional. All right. So he went to a local bank and he got a HELOC on his rental properties. And he was using his HELOC. He got like $100,000 HELOC. And what he was doing, he was using his HELOC and he was going to the courthouse steps and buying properties on foreclosure that was super discounted, that didn't need that much work, that was vacant. So all he was doing was using his HELOC, going to buy a foreclosure property, buy 2 of them, maybe 3. He'll get a refinance on it, get another HELOC, and just keep moving. So that's how he used the strategy. And then once he got to like 9 of those, then he used the money to buy a 16-unit property. So understand that he just kept building it and building it up.
I see my thumbs. I see my thumbs.
Let's go.
Okay.
Can somebody miss what's the DSCR? Let's go back to the slide.
Okay.
And I don't know what kind of time we got.
Okay. Then. Okay.
Yes, if you purchase with cash, you can refinance in 3 months with hard money to get full value.
Yes.
Now you can also refinance in a week for real, but you just won't get full value. A lot of times they limit that cash amount that you get back to 50, 60%. You won't get that full 75% if you try to refinance before those 3 months. All right, so DSCR. DSCR is what we measure our cash flow by, is what lenders use to measure the cash flow by. So if your income, which is also considered your rent, is $1,200, you're going to divide that by $1,000, which is your expenses, or that's your mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a DSCR of 1.2. That's a good DSCR for lenders. The higher that DSCR is, the better your cash flow is. All right.
All right. Let's do it. I see my thumbs up. I see my thumbs up. Yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap up. We'll get y'all out of here.
All right. The second way that you can start building that portfolio, that's one way. We want to make sure we give you 2 blueprints today on how you can really start building that cash flow up. So the second way is we're going to use a hard money lender for the purchase and rehab loan. All right. We're going to buy the properties at 65% of the after repair value. For our down payment to purchase, start the rehab, we're going to put down $15,000 to $20,000. All right.
And that number can change based on your ARV.
Yes, that number will change based on your ARV.
And the reason that this is the Denmark's way is because when we started, lenders, remember that $75,000 minimum loan amount. So the property had to be a certain purchase price and a certain rehab in order to get financing on the property. And it was less money out of pocket. So we figured that, hey, it's easier to put down $20,000 and get that back if I am doing it the Denmark's way versus if I do it leeway, I need more than $20,000 to do it leeway.
Yes.
And if I do it the Denmark's way, I can do multiple if my funds aren't
tied up.
To be honest with y'all, we didn't start this with money. We started this from below. Like, so we had to scrap and claw and be all creative to do anything. So there was a point in time where 15 to 20,000 was like unbelievable to us.
Right. You got to buy a credit card and put the pieces together.
You got to hit 5 credit card here, 5 credit card here. So all this stuff comes from creative experience, and it comes from being able to trial and error and build things. So a lot of times, and I'm going to go a small tangent.
Okay.
You guys are in so much better position than we was when we started because some of you already have money. Some of you already have credit.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't have those things. Like some of you already have 700 credit scores where you can go get business funding and do this over and over and over. Some of you already have homes that you've been living in 10, 15 years that you can go get a home equity line of credit on.
Some of you have 401ks where you were working at a previous employer and that 401k is just sitting there and you can use that 401k. You can transfer it into a Roth IRA and start investing using it and not being taxed off of it.
So you guys are in such a better position than we was when we started because we started from negative. Mm-hmm. And we was able to build up. That took a lot of sweat equity, it took a lot of work. And if you ain't looking to do that, don't get into real estate. All right. But understand that you're in such a better position to build your portfolio so much faster than we did.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about the types of properties. We are looking for distressed properties that are in areas that have really good comps. All right. We're looking from an ARV between 120,000 to 180,000. When I say areas that have good comps, I'm talking about areas where your first-time homeowners are buying houses. I'm talking about areas, not just pure rental areas where nothing is selling at a retail value. I want some retail comps sprinkled in there because at the end of the day, I still got to refinance. And the best way to refinance is to show that houses are selling in the area.
And when we say distressed properties, most of the time these rehabs are going to be 25,000 or more. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's not going to be a lipstick type job when you're doing it our way. It's going to be a $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 type rehab because we're buying it at such a deep discount. All right.
Someone said, so you can get a HELOC on a rental property. Yes.
Yes, you can. Now, I can tell you this. Before COVID, it was a whole lot easier. Yeah. All right. Now, you might have to really search now to find a local bank. Most of the time, local banks that are going to do it, your local credit unions. And I will always say, let's go to your local meetups, wherever you are, and you ask them, hey, are there any banks in our area doing refinances on rental properties? Mm-hmm. Your big banks are going to stay away from it, but your local banks, they are,
because they're building a community and keeping the money in the community, so they're more likely to service your HELOCs for a rental property.
Yes. And if they don't do HELOCs, just do a complete cash out refinance.
Yes.
If they don't do HELOCs are better because you can use it and move it how you want. But if you have to just do a cash out refinance, that's more common in a lot of areas.
So don't get stuck. Don't just get stuck and not do it. Do one of the two.
Yes.
All right. So the Denmark's way, we're gonna buy those houses that are either distressed, that have really good comps. We're gonna buy those houses and then we're gonna refinance in 3 months. So we're gonna do a quick rehab. We're not trying to do $100,000 rehab because that's gonna take long. We're trying to get something that is 25, 30, maybe 35,000. So that we're in and out of it in those 3 months, and we can keep repeating that process when it comes to a refinance.
Yes, and our loans are 1-for-1 loans. We're going to have one hard money loan, probably one gap lender, and we're going to refinance it to one long-term loan. We're not going to bundle these properties together because most of the time these properties have a value of 125 to 180. So you don't have to bundle those together. It's a lot easier to find lenders for those type of properties.
And the reason why you're bundling the Lee method, the reason why you're bundling them is because most of them don't have an ARV of over 75 or 100,000. A lot of lenders, when you're doing a refinance, they're not going to do any loan under 75,000. So it's important when you have smaller loans, when you have smaller ARVs, to bundle them up so that you can still do that process.
You have a question right here. With the LTV show?
Would the LTV be the same as the appraisal amount for cash out refinance?
Yes.
In the area?
Exactly. Yes, your LTV is your appraisal amount.
It's equivalent to your ARV.
Yes. Your LTC is what you've actually spent on a property or what your loan actually is.
Not the value of what it could be selling for.
Yes. So even if the homes in the area are selling for 300,000, but your loan to cost is 100,000, they're going to refinance on that $100,000 loan to cost.
Mm-hmm. All right. What other? I hope. Tell me if this training was helpful to you guys. Um, Tell me in the chat if this was helpful to you guys. But I also want to open it up for questions as well.
Is there a light bulb emoji?
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I ain't never used it, so I ain't gonna tell them to use it. But let's go. Let's talk. Let's get some questions out. Which method do you like best? Which method do you think that you'll be able to execute the fastest? Are you a person that has a HELOC or that has a 401k, that has some cash, probably 100 or better, that way you can use the Lee method? Or do you think you need to go the Denmark way, put a little more sweat equity in, and go that way? Which way do you feel like is best for you? And tell us why.
Oh, okay. I see some very helpful. Didn't know about the bundle and the cash out. It's good to know. A very helpful and eye-opening. All right. Absolutely. I'm gonna rewatch the Denmark's method. Okay. Lee method because I have a HELOC. Good.
That's it right
I
there.
would use both personally. Ooh, come on, build this portfolio.
Oh, let's go. Let's change our wealth. Let's change our family's trajectory.
Yes. Y'all, this is so important. Real estate can be used in so many ways. When I tell you, somebody said I need to maximize the HELOC.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When I tell you that there are so many ways to make money in real estate, I know sometimes we get in that we don't want to teach, we don't want to tell. But man, I'm so happy that this is blessing you guys tonight and that it is really helping you because we want to change the trajectory of our families. Like at some point, we're going to be older, they're going to be taking care of us. And guess what? If we don't understand it to teach it, what is this world going to look like when we get older?
Yes.
So it is so important. Go ahead.
Somebody, but I have to study the real estate arena terminology. Ask it now. It's like if we said something you didn't quite understand, let's break it down to the lowest common denominator for you. And we try to keep it simple to a ninth grader, but sometimes we get excited, y'all, and we get caught up and we go to going. So if we said a word you didn't quite understand or you need kind of a little more detail, this is the time to do it, y'all.
While you got us on here, let's talk about it and let's make it work so that you understand when you're having these conversations, you can talk that talk. You want to be able to talk that talk at the end of the day.
Also, don't forget if you need some help executing these strategies, just drop the word call in the chat and we can give you a call to talk about it.
Let's talk about where you are, where you're trying to get to, and which one of these strategies really work and how you can really start implementing it.
Yeah. So if you're a person, hey, I got a 700 credit score, I need to get some business funding so I can start running these plays, drop call, y'all. And we ain't got nothing to sell you. We just want to talk to you and see exactly how we can help.
If you're looking to get some hard money funding and you need a hard money lender, we can help you. We can fund your deal. We can help you with that deal. Just put fund in the chat and we'll help you with getting funding for that hard money deal.
All right. So I put one last question.
Where do we find the renters? Oh, the renters are the easiest part. They're all around you. All right. So ways that you find renters. Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, going to salons and put that you have barbershops and putting that you have a house to rent what the bed and baths are. Did I say Zillow? Facebook Marketplace. Zillow, Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace is sweet spot, y'all.
It's probably
it's the
best.
Now, I would definitely say this. I'm not a big Section 8 type guy, but if my strategy was to focus only on BRRRR,
on the Lee method,
I would do Section 8, y'all. If my method was, hey, I'm just buy as many of these as I can, and I'm just build my portfolio as fast as I can, I'm definitely going to do Section 8 because we know that rent's going to come in. We don't have to worry about if the tenant's going to pay or not. I would definitely do Section 8. Now, we don't do Section 8 because we have a different strategy for when we do lease options, which we'll talk about on a whole different training. But if your method is, hey, let me just build these as fast as I can, do not be afraid of Section 8, y'all.
Absolutely. All right. So someone said, is the bundle loan a wraparound loan?
No, absolutely not. Those are two separate things. A bundle loan is also considered a blanket loan. And that's where you're going to take two or three properties, and it's going to be under one mortgage and note. So if I got property one is 50,000, property two is 50,000, and I have one loan for $100,000 on both properties, that's considered a blanket loan. That's considered a bundle when I put them together. And if I can't, there's penalties if I sell one without the other. A lot of times you can't even sell one without the other if you do it that way. So that's not a wraparound mortgage. A wraparound mortgage is when you put a secondary loan on top of the first loan. So if I am lending, I'm selling financing the property to Ashley at $100,000, but Ashley goes and get a.
No, you're the lender, and the loan on the house is 100,000. But okay, the microphone is the lender. They're lending the house to Antonio for 100,000, but Antonio is lending the house.
I'm gonna sell it to somebody else and get cash flow on it. So a wraparound is very creative.
Yeah, and it's different. It's completely different than doing the bundle. All right.
I like Section 8. I have no issues with Section 8. The one thing I will say about Section 8 is what a guy told me when I first started is when you do Section 8, just be prepared for more wear and tear on your house.
Be prepared to spend more money as you are getting old tenants out and putting new tenants in, because 9 times out of 10, the person that stays in the house that's on Section 8 is going to be at the house a lot. They probably have multiple kids. So they're going to be.
I won't say 9 times out of 10. More than likely.
More than likely. Yeah, that's what that means to me. Okay. More than likely. Great job, Tonya. Great catch. More than likely, they're going to be living in the house. They're going to be there more often. So your wear and tear is going to be there. So they're going to be opening the doors more than normal.
They're going to be running the AC more than normal. Using the plumbing more. So
yes,
if a person is at home all day, they're at home 10 to 15 hours compared to a person who goes to work every day. They're not using those things at that high of a rate than a Section 8 tenant.
Because they're probably home about 4 hours. They're sleeping about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So you're not actively moving all day.
Yes. And that matters when you have things that have a shelf life, and that's a wear and tear, and it goes down. There's only so many times you can flush that toilet before it don't work. There's only so many times you can cut that shower on before stuff starts to go wrong. So just keep those things in mind. Not saying that you can't do Section 8, but just understand that there's a possibility of that when it comes to Section 8.
Just know your strategy. Know your strategy so that you can do what works best for you.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to get up out of here. This went longer than we expected. I guess we started later.
We started late, didn't go longer than
we got kind of caught up, so we're sorry about that. But hey, if you got questions, ask your questions in these trainings. We go back and watch them and monitor them.
If you want
any questions come, or you can put your questions in the REI Decoded group to see if we can help you in that also.
Yeah, and if you want to get on the phone and talk to us this week and find out exactly what should you be doing, remember, type in call in the chat, and then we'll be reaching out to you to schedule so that we can talk to you. All right.
Let's go. Thank y'all. See y'all next week.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Love you guys. Peace.